Don in London, hello. May 20th. Yeah, lovely morning out. May 20th. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour equally addictive around people, places and things. That is, being with the right people, in the right place, doing the right things. And for many a year I strove or worked as hard as I possibly could to be perfect at whatever I was doing, although at the time I think I was ignorant of the idea of perfection. I did believe in the idea that life was progress, but we had to work hard. And the harder I worked, the more I wanted to enjoy life. So work hard, play hard, find joy, happiness, do all the things I thought I ought to do. And these days, one day at a time, I do still like to be with the right people in the right place, doing the right things. And I know that the life journey I have is better without a drink inside me, alcohol, and trying to be with the right people in the right place with the right things, to the point of distraction, and never satisfied that I'm making it right or doing it right. So needs met, wants forgotten these days. So I need recovery from addiction to alcohol, and it took me 35 years to get there, from the first drink probably to the last drink, one day at a time. And I do stress one day at a time, because the only place we live is today. So we may have a burden of history around us about what we've done in the past, but if we can let go of all of that and get to a place where we don't depend or need alcohol on a physical or emotional level, then we live in the moment, hopefully, or we have a chance to on a daily basis. So what's made this possible, moving from addiction to recovery? Well, family, friends, community, all those elements, medical people, people who have experience of being sober a day at a time. So everything and everybody is involved in recovery. Wherever I can get the wisdom to stay sober, I go. One of the most important influences on my life has been fellowship, and the true sense of fellowship is to go to a place of equality where everybody is the same and they all have the same outlook in a desire not to drink one day at a time. And because it's focused on sobriety, and that fellowship is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, it works for me. But if it tried to make me something other than I am, or tried to make me perfect, or promised me something which is impossible, then I would be the first to run for the hills. So what I found with the fellowship of AA is, what you see is what you get. So on any given day, that is what AA is. It's what you see is what you get on the day you're there. So if you go for more than one day, you'll get a range of experiences of good and bad. That's how it works. And the fellowship has indeed been the backbone of my recovery, so the rest of life can work. So what is AA? On this little preamble here, this card, the preamble, which is shared at every meeting I go to. And don't forget, I'm saying fellowship is one day long too. So although the fellowship of AA has been around for decades, well, 7 decades at least, in its 8th decade, I would be happy to say, what you see is what you get on the day. That's the way it works. Because it's people on the day. It's attraction, not promotion. And the difference between the two, attraction is being able to see what is happening for people and liking it, or promotion, which is by the end of the day you'll be sober because we say so. And that's not true. We all work at recovery and sobriety, because sobriety is what it is for each person. So this is the AA Preamble, which makes it plain. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, so that's it. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. Importantly, AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. At the same time, all the people in AA are allied to something or other. They may be allied to a sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. And they do wish to engage in controversy, not necessarily within fellowship though. They do endorse or oppose causes wherever they happen to be in their own lives. So fellowship doesn't go into that. It's a broad church, anybody can go with any particular point of view or faith. But we talk about sobriety and how it works in our own lives, and then we learn from that. And the final sentence here says, our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So like any walk of life where we work and are with other people, we have the absolute right to our views on life, our faith and beliefs. The only reason for fellowship and going there is to hear, experience, strength and hope of recovery, or where it's working and where it's not working, because often it's the examples of both. And we take the wisdom which we hear and put it into practice in our own lives. So it's a sanctuary to find out the truth of what will work for us. And that truth does not reside in one person, and it certainly doesn't reside in me. So the reason why I'm sober one day at a time, or have a degree of sobriety around my emotions, is because I have fellowship in my life to get perspective. So many of my friends hold different beliefs and views, and that's just good, because I hear them all. And I have my own beliefs and views, but I don't try and push them, or, as the word goes, this is a strange word, but this is how it's said, proselytized, which is for me to impose my faith or view on you to be sober. I cannot do that, and if I tried it, it wouldn't work. That's called trying to promote an idea of what it can be like. So, you know, if somebody says, by the end of today, you will be sober, that's not a guarantee that they can make. By the end of today, I can try to be the person I want to be, and I'm better off trying sober, then I have a chance of achieving that. So it's really important for any newcomer, I feel, that they're not shut away or shut out by anybody speaking with authority they don't have. The only authority we have is the wisdom inside us, or the common sense or horse sense we've learned how to stay sober one day at a time. And beyond the on this, actually this is one of the most important pieces of paper for me, because on one side it's got the preamble, which always reminds me that every single person in AA is the same size, equal to having a go at sober today, and that we're all in the same place when we go to meetings, a desire to share, experience, strength and hope and wisdom on how sober can work today. And inside it has the 12 steps on one side, which is all about being open, honest and willing as an individual to try to be sober today. No guarantees, but it seems to work with me for a few years, so it's worked in my life simply because I was willing to have a go. And the suggestions are be open, honest and willing to change. And in there also are the 12 traditions. So 12 steps, 12 traditions. 12 steps for an individual, open, honest and willing. 12 traditions around unity, service and recovery. So fellowship holds together on unity, service and recovery. We give it away to keep it. We offer to do things in the fellowship groups or as trusted servants, not a board of governors. That's why we have general service boards. We don't have boards of governors like you would find either in a school or some other institution. We have trusted servants who are there to do what the fellowship want to do, that is the broad base of groups of people who collect together and talk about the traditions and what holds the fellowship in unity, service and recovery. Excuse me. And that's important. So there are 12 steps and 12 traditions. Steps for a personal way forward, traditions to hold the fellowship together. And the reason why that's important is to avoid collisions of humans trying to put their own point of view or make it their way. And very often I hear people have been around for a few years who say AA isn't the same as it used to be. And that's absolutely true, because every single day the fellowship changes somehow or other, because people change somehow or other. Sometimes it's a good change, or it feels good because we agree with it. Sometimes it doesn't feel so good and it feels disagreeable, and that's how life is. So the fellowship mirrors reality. Sometimes life is agreeable, sometimes life is disagreeable, or if we're lucky we get a combination of both. But the 12-step program is very much there to help us resolve our issues as they arise, rather than letting them get back into mountains again. And one of the things that can happen very easily in recovery is that we let things build up, hoping they'll go away. But unfortunately, angers and resentments don't work that way. If we foster them by letting them be suppressed or just savouring the anger because we feel we are justified, then we fall backwards. I'm clumsy today, and that's because I was up late. I don't know what it is about me at this time of year. If it's daylight, I want to be awake and doing. If it's night time, sometimes I can't sleep. Other things are going on in my head. But anyway, it's May 20th. In this book, Daily Reflections, it's all about step 5 this month, which is sharing with God and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Or it could be saying, I need to find the truth and wisdom of what happened to me, the exact nature of what happened to me, and in good conscience to another person share it. So it's a personal faith issue, or just conscience issue, how we approach our confession, if you like, of what hurt us and how we hurt other people. And May 20th, it says here, above all, take it one day at a time. That comes from As Bill Sees It, which is this book here. Very handy other daily reflection book I use. One day at a time. Why do I kid myself that I must stay away from a drink for only one day, when I know perfectly well I must never drink again as long as I live? I am not kidding myself, because one day at a time is probably the only way I can reach long-range objective of staying sober. If I determine that I shall never drink again as long as I live, I set myself up. How can I be sure I won't drink when I have no idea what the future may hold? On a day-at-a-time basis, I am confident I can stay away from a drink for one day. So I set out with confidence. At the end of the day, I have the reward of achievement. Achievement feels good, and that makes me want more. So there is a bit of wanting in recovery. I want more sobriety, or I suppose I need more sobriety to understand life a little bit better as I go along. And there's great joy. I mean, if you think about it, we didn't come onto the planet designed to drink alcohol, to take our minds off our worries and our woes. And in the beginning, we didn't need alcohol to find happiness, and we didn't need alcohol to think that we could expand our abilities, and we didn't need drugs in order to feel like we were expanding our horizons. Actually, what drugs do and what drink does is narrow down our understanding. It makes us big in our own heads, but we can't see beyond what's here, because we are completely befuddled. We can't see reality. And although we may think we get good ideas in states of inebriation, when we look at them in the hard, cold light of day, we might ask ourselves just how interesting were those, and how faster would we have got to the same conclusion. If we are continually narrowing down our visual and thinking and feeling skills, if you like, our feeling abilities, by drinking to overcome shyness or fear, rather than understand it's better to develop courage, faith and confidence on a daily basis, then we are deluding ourselves and believing that we are bigger than we really are. And it's interesting for me because I thought when I was writing poetry in the middle of the night, glass in hand, with a broken heart, I was probably expressing myself in the best way I could. And actually I was expressing deep sorrow and sadness, befuddled, and really based on a fantasy rather than reality. Because if it were reality, the love I had, I wouldn't be heartbroken, would I? Because it would have grown incrementally through time. Anyway, in As Bill Sees It, as I've got it out, page 151, I've been talking about forgiveness this week. It's been on my mind. I need to do that all the time for myself and others, and that's not selfish at all. If I can forgive other people, I need to forgive myself too, or I'm running a double standard. So in As Bill Sees It, page 151, the moment we ponder a twisted or broken relationship with another person, our emotions go on the defensive. What did I do wrong, and what did they do wrong? Or, to escape looking at the wrongs we have done another, we resentfully focus on the wrong he has done us. Triumphantly we seize upon his slightest misbehaviour as the perfect excuse for minimizing or forgetting our own. Right here we need to fetch ourselves up sharply. Let's remember that alcoholics are not the only ones bedevilled by sick emotions, or rather the preponderance to blame others. In many instances we are really dealing with fellow sufferers, people whose woes we have increased. If we are about to ask forgiveness for ourselves, why shouldn't we start out by forgiving them, one and all? And the moment we make an exception, yes, but. If we realise that people good people do bad things, and bad people do good things, and it can depend entirely on the circumstances which brought them to that point. And it might be a lifetime of abuse in the past which makes people behave badly, and it might be a good person turned bad by one incident which they cannot overcome. And the reason why we can't overcome it often is because we won't let it go. We chew on it, and we spend then a lifetime of anger, resentment because of it. So when we look at life and say, okay, what was our part in it? Just turning up can be the only thing that caused it to happen, because we were unlucky enough or had the misfortune to be there in the wrong place at the wrong time. So forgiveness is a very difficult one. Notwithstanding that, if the consequences of poor or bad bad deeds, or even criminal deeds happens, there are consequences that society has. And although we may forgive ourselves the situation and the people in it and ourselves in it, there will be consequences always, depending on what we do next. Retribution of some form often is there, and it's there in civil society and also within us. To what extent and to what degree we can let go. And that is a personal choice. I can't influence that. But I prefer to try with all my heart to forgive everybody everything, given the situation that happened, where it happened, what it was about. And I have to say that with me holding a grudge in careers against individuals for many years, when if I look at the big picture of why they did it and how it came about, I understand exactly why it came about, and I know exactly what my part was in it. And if I don't forgive it, it will haunt me. I don't want to be haunted anymore. So anyway, on this Friday, May 20th, 2011, enough. What helps me when anger, resentment, or anything else might be boiling up is to remind myself of what I can and cannot do, and where is the wisdom in that. So knowing what I can do, what I can't do, and the wisdom to know the difference always makes me look at my part in it. Because if I start to judge the world with the 12-step tools I have, I can judge it very harshly and become very angry and resentful very quickly. It's about me and my conduct, And that's not to take the upper hand or the high road, it's to follow a path of sobriety. So the Serenity Prayer, as I say always at the end of my videos, helps me any time of day, and it's to God or good conscience as you come to believe for yourself. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Always for me in the moment and just for today. DonInLondon, hello. It's May 20th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect and never so. So, what is it like today, Wednesday? Well, a bit of sunshine. Here in London it's the Chelsea Glass Show, and I'm not going, but my mother and my sister are, and they will enjoy it. I would have liked to have gone, but it's a little bit outside my price range. Anyway, what's been happening with me last 24 hours, helping one or two people face to face, and also getting to a meeting of AA last night down at Christ Church, which is off the King's Road in Chelsea. It's one of those regulars I go to, and we had no secretary and no chair, but within a few moments somebody volunteered to do the secretarial role, and somebody accepted the opportunity to share their experience, strength and hope for about 10-15 minutes, and then we share back. And the gift is we have this similarity of purpose, one thing, and that's sobriety. So the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is full of unique, authentic people sharing their experience of how to keep sober one day at a time. And at the beginning of every meeting, even when there's no secretary and no chair apparent, we share this preamble that goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any set denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety, even when there are heavy lorries going past and making a hell of a din. And, you know, it didn't take long to get the meeting organised, even though there were no sort of officials there, if you like. Although there are no officials, it's just a fellowship. And I keep on emphasising this thing of difference between organisation or fellowship, simply because fellowship has unique, authentic people in it, and people remain unique and authentic on their life journey, if you like. And when we go to a meeting, we find what keeps us sober just on a daily basis, the wisdom to carry on, and the differentiation by trying to make something a lifetime epic and just approaching it as a day at a time is so emphatically necessary, because if we try to do it for the rest of our lives, that is to keep sober, we might find it very, very difficult indeed. Indeed, self-will will fail, because we're not set up to be completely iron and concrete in our will. So willpower is not really what it's all about. It's absolutely about making a choice based on information to hand, and a mind which is cleared somewhat from the awfulness of taking the edge off and then finding oblivion. And that's what drugs do. They take us out of reality. So I'm a fan of reality these days. And I share here different books and different readings. This is the 12 by 12 steps, 12 traditions, as Bill sees it, written by the co-founder, or a collection of work which they developed as a co-founder, and daily reflections, which is the reflections of people who have been in the program and share their, I suppose, one-day commentary. And at the end of all of this, what do we get? We get a clear idea of what we want, or what we need to be, which is simply sober. So in the program there are 12 steps and 12 traditions, and it's contained on this little card, available at any meeting of AA, mostly, unless they've run out, because there's been a run on them. And 12 steps of action to change our attitude and behaviour, and 12 traditions to keep the fellowship safe. So the 12 steps are about open, honest and willing endeavour, and the 12 traditions which hold the fellowship in place, if you like, is all about recovery, unity and service. So step 5, May, is all about sharing our fearless moral inventory with another human being and God or good conscience. So whether you believe in God or not, and I have trouble on a daily basis defining what my belief is, I can be an agnostic atheist or a God believer, depending on what is happening, life experience, and seeing reality as it is. I mean, nature is beyond me and beyond description to be defined, and I don't know that we ever will. So, you know, there are bigger forces in this universe than me. So that'll do, and I understand my place in this world. I get born, I live, I die. And what goes beyond that is beyond me. So I keep an open mind, hopefully, and I have no problem people finding their own understanding of a higher power. 6.5 billion people on the planet, each person has got a unique and authentic take with lots of similarities. Otherwise we just wouldn't be here, would we? So for today, daily reflections, May 20th. One day at a time, ironically. Above all, take it one day at a time. That comes from As Bill Sees It, page 11, which was covered some time back by me. Why do I kid myself that I must stay away from a drink only for one day, when I know perfectly well I must never drink again as long as I live? I am not kidding myself, because one day at a time it is probably the only way I can reach the long-range objective of staying sober. If I determine that I shall never drink again as long as I live, I set myself up. How can I be sure I won't drink when I have no idea what the future may hold? On a day-at-a-time basis, I am confident I can stay away from a drink for one day, so I set out with confidence. At the end of the day, I have the reward of achievement. Achievement feels good, and that makes me want more, and want more sobriety, not want more booze. And it's that simple in many ways, but we are complicated people, so we will do lots of bargaining with ourselves, and we want to hang on to some of our outlook which made us feel unhappy, because that's just it. We have ego in us, we have put on a brave face, and we're probably trying to push our fear down so we can just get on. And indeed, it's probably better to have courage, faith and confidence in good conscience or God or whatever it is you feel is right for you. Anyway, coming to As Bill Sees It, this one, it says 2 kinds of pride. The prideful righteousness of good people may often be just as destructive as the glaring sins of those who are supposedly not so good. We love to shout the damaging fact that millions of the good men of religion were still killing one another off in the name of God. This all meant, of course, that we substituted negative for positive thinking. After we came to AA, we had to recognise that this trait had been an ego-feeding proposition. In belabouring the sins of some religious people, we could feel superior to all of them. Moreover, we could avoid looking at some of our own shortcomings. Self-righteousness, the very thing that we had contemptuously condemned in others, was our own besetting evil. This phony form of respectability was our undoing, so far as faith was concerned. But finally, driven to AA, we learned better. And, you know, it's true. The antonym of pride is humility, and humility is about seeing the world as it is in reality. And in this 12-step and 12 tradition book is the summary of what step 5 is all about. So I'll just share it here as I have the time this morning. It says here, step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 12 steps in total deflate ego. Step 5 is difficult but necessary to sobriety and peace of mind. Confession is an ancient discipline. Without fearless admission of defects, few could stay sober. What do we receive from step 5? Beginning of true kinship with man and God, all good conscience as you understand it. Lose sense of isolation, receive forgiveness and give it. Learn humility, gain honesty and realism about ourselves. Necessity for complete honesty. Danger of rationalization, how to choose the person in whom to confide. Results are tranquility and consciousness of God. Oneness with God and man prepares us for the following steps. And so we have then step 6 and 7, which are the somewhat difficult ones. They're not outlined that well in the literature, but I will cover those in the coming months. So for me in all of this, it's really about seeing where we have defects of character. That's overusing our fears, brave facing and ego, and not using our courage, faith and confidence enough. So as we get to the truth, open, honest and willing to face it, which is blinking hard work, because if you've been at it with booze for a long time, putting filters and denials in the way, or just plain ignorance in my case, then it can be very difficult. So the Serenity Prayer helps me, and it goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and simply try and do it just one day and know the difference.